Hello, everyone. My name is Alexa Fazzini. I am a middle school educational technology teacher at Brooklyn Middle School in Parsippany. Got my shirt representing my Knights. So like I said, I'm a middle school educational tech teacher, and I'm responsible for a lot of our technology-related electives. But in addition to that, I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but I also am a part-time technology coach with one of my other colleagues. So it's really cool to have kind of two different ways that we could help students, but also help faculty with all the awesome things that are out there. Before we get into one of my favorite Chrome extensions out there right now, which is Screencastify, here's a little bit more information about me. I am a proud graduate of Montclair State University. I attended Montclair for my bachelor's and my master's. And while I was a student both times, I was a student assistant with the Center of Pedagogy, the MSU NER, and the ADP Center. And I was also a grad assistant with those departments as well. So I'm so happy to be able to have the opportunity to share some resources with the university that has given me so much. So I hope this video will help you explore another tool that could help you do more with your students during this very crazy time that we're in right now. So without further ado, let's get into Screencastify. So the overall goal of this video for me is to give you as much information as I can about Screencastify, the extension. I'm going to take you from installing the extension to editing videos that you create and then sharing them with your students. And I also want to leave you with some resources and some other things that you could take away to use in your own practice, but you could also give to your students as well. So step one would also be to install the extension. So I just visited screencastify.com. You would see that I already have it installed. I'm using Screencastify to create this video for you, but it would say something like add to Chrome or install to Chrome. And the installation process is actually really simple. It's going to ask you to sync up with your Google Drive, which you are going to say yes to, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But the step-by-step instructions, it takes you through everything you need to do. So that's pretty self-explanatory there. Something I do want to go over as well is the options of the different plans that you have. So given that we are in a little bit of a unique situation with the coronavirus, there's two different plans that are normally offered. So the free version, what I love about Screencastify is that they really take into account different things that teachers want and what people want. And they really packed up their free version of the program. So you could see everything that they have here. The unlimited version, they are currently doing a promotion where if you reach out to them and explain that you're a teacher and your school has been impacted by COVID-19, they're going to release their unlimited version for you, but you'd have to reach out to them and do it that way. But minus the unlimited thing, I think that the free version does give you a lot of resources, especially since you don't really have to pay for it, which is kind of nice. But the screenshot really does a good job of explaining the differences between those two things. I do have the unlimited version, but like I said, the free version will give you just about everything that you need to work through different videos. So we can get rid of that. So once you get going with making videos, you would see right up here at the top, kind of where there's a little red dot right there. Like I said, I'm using Screencastify to record this video right now, but I do have a screenshot of just some different things that you would work with to get your video started. So once you click on the extension, it'll bring you to this screen right here. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Okay, so you've got three different things that you could work with in terms of recording your screen. So the browser tab, that allows you to just focus on one tab. Now, it wouldn't be a tab window, it would just be one individual tab. So for example, if you had multiple tabs open in the same window, if you had this option selected, it would only do one tab. So make sure you kind of just pay attention to that as you're setting things up. I have mine set up right now on the desktop. And the reason I did that is because I want to show different windows and different things at the same time. So I recommend using that if you want to be in more than one program at once. And then the webcam is just your webcam. So you also have some other options to toggle on and off. You could use a microphone or not. You could embed the webcam or not. And then you can expand to different options. You could have a countdown show up, and then you could show the drawing tools. The annotation tools or drawing tools are super, super helpful, and I'm going to go over those in a second. But that's what you're going to see when you start an actual recording. So then from there, I'll go into what some of the drawing tools are and how you could use them in your videos. So one quick thing before I get into the drawing tools, in the last section of the video, you probably saw a section at the bottom that said Screencastify is sharing your screen. That's okay. That's just a message that pops up so you remember that your screen's being recorded. I hid mine so I could have a little more space to work. You could do that or not, but if you leave the message in there, it will show up in the video. So moving on to the toolbar. So down at the bottom, you could pause your recording. This is a very good tool. I use it a lot. It's really good to use if you want to just take a breath and gather your thoughts, or if you wanted to just pause and restart. That's a good thing to have. It's a very, very little known secret. From here, if you click on that, it'll also open up restarting as well. From here, we've got mouse pointer options. So these are great because they allow you to know where you are in terms of the screen, but if you want to focus on a certain area of a web page or something like that, that helps you and your students know where you want to focus. So we've got the focus mouse. So with any of these mouse options, to turn them on and off, you would click them. So I'll click the first one. It makes it look like a spotlight, which is kind of nice. So then to turn it off, I go there to turn it off. The one in the middle, hide cursor when not moved, that just means that if your mouse is staying still on the screen, you won't see it, but it will reappear when you start moving your mouse around again. And then this one's my favorite, the highlight clicks. When you activate that, anytime you click somewhere, a little red circle pops up. So that just helps you and your students keep track of where you are in the video. All helps with focus. So it's all good to go there. Okay. Another important thing to note, you can use different combinations of these. You could use them all three together, or none of them, or a mix of two. It's really just up to your preference. Okay, moving on to the pen. So when you click on the pen, you could pick whatever color you want out of the spectrum. Blue's my favorite, so I'll go with a shade of blue. And then you could draw, you could circle different things. You can draw arrows. You can't type as far as I know, but this is good to just like really, again, highlight something you want your students to focus on. You can change the size or the thickness of the pen. I believe I have a Mac computer, so I think if you do Command minus or plus will make it smaller and bigger. Let me see. Oh, that just zooms it in. There's something, I'll look more into that, and I'll put it in the doc that I'm going to give you for resources, but you are able to adjust the thickness of the line. Then the eraser, you could just erase things manually, or you could check off an option that says wipe screen clear, and it'll wipe everything for you. So instead of clicking everything with your drawing tools, there are some Screencastify shortcuts that will go along with these drawing tools. So I have a screenshot to show you now, but this document that I'm in right now, I am going to put a link to it somewhere in the video or send it out that will have this picture in here. So I won't focus too much on it, but it will have everything in here. So let me just bring it right here. So it'll just have just basic things that you could work with in there. So again, this screenshot will be linked in the document that I have here. So you can get rid of that. Okay, so now I'm back in the editing, or in the eraser in Screencastify. So something to note with both of the drawing tools is if you want to get rid of them, just hit the escape key and you're back to normal. So again, all these drawing tools are just there to help you take your video to the next level and help you and your students focus. Last thing in the toolbar right down here is the webcam. So that helps you toggle the webcam on and off. So if I click it, it goes away, then I click it again and it comes back. So that's good if you want to toggle the webcam on and off during your recording. Something else with the webcam too is you could move it around during the recording. You could drag and drop it and put it wherever you want. I usually like to have mine in the bottom right, but totally up to you, your preference. You could also resize the screen to make it a little bit smaller or bigger, totally your preference. But again, great thing to have in place. Next section we're going to focus on is a little bit with how Screencastify works with Google Drive. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit into stopping your recording and a little bit into editing and sharing. So when you're ready to stop your video, you could go right up to the extension. Right. And then you'll see desktop is being recorded. You could delete, restart, pause, or stop. So once you stop your video, that'll save it into the Screencastify library, but also into your drive, which I'll go over in a second. So let me just get into that tab. So I have, here's like a bunch of recordings that Screencastify, this is like the Screencastify saving area. So to access this, when you're in Screencastify itself, you could go extension again. If you hit the 3 lines, it'll give you more options and you could access the screencasts. So I'm just going to open a quick video. So this little tiny one here. So when you stop your video, this is the screen that you see. It'll give you a preview of what your video is, and then you have some options of editing. So the basic editor, and it's only in the free version. You are only allowed to trim the beginning or end of your video. So to do that, you would just click the scissors and drag and drop wherever you want the trim to go. And you could either cancel or save the trim. That way, you could also retitle your videos or rename them. The name of the video is the name of like the window or the tab that you're recording. So I'll just call it test video for now. And then you have the option of opening it in the premium editor, which I'll get to in a second. But you have some different options for sharing and downloading. So at the beginning of the video, I mentioned how when you set up Screencastify that you want it to have access to your drive. The reason you want to allow that is because Screencastify creates a folder in your Google Drive called Screencastify. So in addition to that library that we just saw of where all your videos would be, is also in your Google Drive. So first option you have to share your videos is to copy a shareable link. If you hit more options, you could change the permissions on the video. So you could just go through each of these: public or unlisted at your school district, private or public for you or other people to see, or unlisted. I just leave mine as just, I think it's automatically set to private, because once you put something on Classroom, the students will have access to it. You could hit view on drive, then it'll open up to the Screencastify folder. Excuse me. So we're going to get rid of that. You could also hit share. You could share to Classroom, publish to YouTube, embed the video, send it in email. These are all pretty straightforward. If you hit share to Classroom, it turns on link sharing for you. And then it's like a little extension that you could just, it'll open up like just the titles of your Google Classrooms, and you could decide where you want to post them to. I believe it just goes in as just like an announcement on the stream. So I don't usually do it this way, but I just do mine with like a link or add it through Drive and just put it in as an assignment. So we could get rid of that section. And then what's also nice is you have the option of downloading your videos. So you could download it as just the WebM file that Screencastify does. You could export it as an MP4. If you want to download your video, that's a really good thing to do, because MP4 is a really common file type. So that's a good strategy, is to have a backup just in case. You could do the audio. That's normally highlighted, but this video that I use as an example doesn't have any audio on it, but that would normally pop up if you have a video with audio. And then what I've been doing a lot, I like doing it actually, is exporting a video as a GIF or a GIF. I've been doing this a lot if there's like a tool that I'm showing my students, and I know there's going to be like a question that they're going to ask a lot about, like, Mrs. Fazzini, where do I find this? Like, so if you do it quickly as a GIF, like, it answers the questions for you. You could just say, hey, check the video out on Classroom. So different sharing options, saving, editing, and all that good stuff. So let's get into the more expansive editor. Just give it a second here. So while this loads up, in addition to the trimming of the beginning and the end, you could add text to your videos, and you could also split your clips at different sections. You could add multiple videos together. You could also crop your videos as well. I will say I wish there was a little bit more with this premium editor. I'm a big fan of iMovie since I have an Apple computer. I wish it was more intuitive like that, if I'm being honest. So I don't really use this editor that much, but you are able to, let me get out of the drawing tools here for a sec. It's pretty straightforward. It allows you to, like, you could cut parts of the video out, you could crop certain things. Like I said, I will be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this particular editor just because I'm used to having more tools available with other programs that I use for my classes. But if you're just using this just for quick things for your students, it's a pretty self-intuitive thing for your kids to have. With text, if you wanted to add different text to your videos, you can only add one text box per video in general. You can't really decide where it goes. It's just one, it's displayed the entire time, which is why I'm not exactly a fan of it. But the cropping is nice. You're able to just draw a rectangle around the section you want to keep and crop it in, and just keep it that way. So that's nice to have. And you could also just cut different parts. If I hit Command, or I'm sorry, if I hit the cut, it'll split the clip in half, and then you could reduce or expand the video clip as well. So that's just about it for the main editor. So next, what we're going to focus on is a little bit of some different ideas that you could have with filming that I've been using here. So now that we know a little bit about all the different tools, about this wonderfully simple extension that I love so much, I figured I'd give you guys some filming tips and just some ideas. So in this document that I keep coming back to, I put some links to different resources through Screencastify. I also put in Screencastify on Twitter. They're actually really involved with their social media. They are very good about answering feedback and, being in touch with their consumers, which I really like about them. They're a very, very good company. I fully support them in everything that they're doing. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I'm not going to go through these too much because you will have access to the doc here, but I've found with videos, you are more likely to have better sound quality if you have headphones with a microphone in them. It just makes your video sound a little more clear, and it helps block out some of the background noise that you might be experiencing, just with cars driving by and police sirens and all that stuff. So it's good to have headphones with a microphone if you can use them. But if you don't have them, the sound quality will be pretty good if you just use the microphone on the computer. So the restart button is a lifesaver. It's good to have it when you just completely mess up something and it just didn't come out right, and you could just restart your video. If you have the free version, I'm pretty sure there's still a limit, a monthly limit of videos that you could do. I believe it's 50 per month. That might have changed. But when you stop a video, that counts towards your total for the month. Again, this is only in the free version. The premium, or unlimited, you could have unlimited videos, but the restart doesn't count against your total if there is still a monthly limit. And it's also just good to just have that, knowing that you could just restart without deleting something and starting over again. So restart button is phenomenal. You could find that in the extension at the top or down in here when you pause your video too. So as I mentioned before, the webcam can be dragged and dropped around wherever you want it to be in the video. So that's good to have, like I was showing before, because I wanted to, show different parts of my screen and I had to move my camera around. So very good strategy to keep in mind. The annotation tools, again, super, super helpful. Something that I do, especially when I'm just recording a browser tab, is I have the screenshot of the shortcuts that I had showed you. I have it just kind of, let me shrink this down a little bit. I kind of just have it, hidden on the side of the screen that's not in the browser tab. So again, that only works if you're doing just your webcam or just a browser tab. Because again, if we have the desktop, you could see everything that I have. And it's also great to do that with like any speaker notes that you want to have in your video. So like you could see here, I made a quick little sticky note of just like an outline of how I wanted to set up the video and talk about everything in sections. So that's a good little hack to keep in mind. This works because I have a Mac. I'm pretty sure Windows computers have like their version of stickies too, but you could also just do like a separate browser tab or a window with notes in it to help you, but that's a good little hack to keep in mind there. So one of the most important things is how can you use this with your students? So here's some examples of how I've been doing some things, and I did highlight some of these already, but let me just make this a little bit bigger so we could see everything. Okay. Okay, so here's just some examples again of how I've been using all this. You could record your screen to demonstrate a tool to students. I do this a lot because I do teach computer electives. So I tell them, here's what you'll see when you log in, and here's how you can use this tool to help you with a project and all that good stuff. And again, I really like using the export as a GIF. That really helps a lot. You could also do this in a way to help provide feedback to your students. So what I've helped other teachers do in my district is I've had them, just as an example, I'll say, pull up a student's essay, and as you're reading it, instead of typing out your comments, you could just talk over it, and then you could use the annotation tools to help, circle different points or underline different things that you want to talk about, and the kids will have that forever unless they delete the video. But it's a good way to have, you could provide real-time, like authentic feedback. Because we know like being in front of a screen, like it's a lot. So I think just having the ability to just talk over and just talk your thoughts out or speak your thoughts out is really, really beneficial for you and the students. What you could use this for your students, I actually did this as a project with my 6th graders. I told them, to kind of imagine themselves wanting to teach themselves how to do something. I said, would you rather read something or watch a video? And of course, they all would rather watch a video. So then I explained how, it's really beneficial to have all these different recording apps out there. And then I showed them Screencastify. So I had them create something that would explain to somebody else how to work something on the Google platform, whether it was like something related to docs or slides. But I had them just pick something simple that they could teach to someone else. Then they had to write out a script and, develop a video to explain it. So, and they really got into it. So it's a nice little way to kind of spin it on your students, but this could also be done with something that's not digital. Like we're lucky that a lot of our students hopefully will have access to a computer with a webcam or something like that. And they could just record themselves like showing off a drawing that they made or just doing something that's not exactly digital related. Cause that webcam option is helpful at the parent and teacher discretion. So it's a good thing to keep in mind there too. And you could also have their students record themselves, showing like a Google Slides presentation that they made, or just something that they wrote about and created online. You could have them, articulate different things about that. So these are just a few different things, but really the possibilities are endless with what you could do. So I really hope that this video helped. I feel like I went pretty into detail. So at the top of the doc here that I will put out, I put my email address. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I also put some links in here that will take you directly to the Screencastify educator question page, and it'll have like just different articles and different help related things. There's one other thing I do want to actually show you. I believe it's under classroom resources. They put out an ebook that has, it's a free ebook, 50 ways you could use Screencastify in your classroom. I believe you could find it through here. Let's try, oh no, yeah, if you scroll down a little bit on this link that I put here, yep, 50 ways to use Screencastify. So you could download that book. It gives you a bunch of different ways you could incorporate this awesome extension into your classroom. So again, feel free to reach out. I hope this was helpful to you, and stay well, stay healthy, and stay safe. Have a great day.